If you want Battlefield 6 looking its absolute best, from HUD visibility and shadow clarity to precise color mapping and edge detail, so you can spot players faster and more consistently, at the end of this video, I'm going to share a hidden config setting that you have to change. Completely eliminates the soft, blurry look that kills image clarity every single time you ADS in a gunfight. Let's start with the in-game visibility settings. This is where most players create their own visual clutter without even realizing it. I tested each of these values myself in-game before I even knew I was going to make this video in the first place. And I'm not just confident, I am positive that I have these HUD settings dialed in perfectly. We are toning down every single unnecessary background overlay while keeping the crosshair and hit indicators strong and obvious. We're going to change the pings above enemies to be clear and consistent, and on the other end, change icons like capture points to be smaller and less opaque. With these settings enabled while ADS'd, these pings will refrain from getting in the way of the actual enemy you're trying to see. Set all of your ping opacity values to what you see here. Next, you're going to want to adjust your color customization. Battlefield's default palette blends too easily in dense maps and is fairly dull. A subtle shift in hue can actually make a massive difference here. Now for the NVIDIA side, this is where we're going to boost shadow clarity and color saturation. If you want the best 3D settings, you can reference my NVIDIA control panel 3D settings video where I dive into this into detail specifically. You're going to raise digital vibrance slightly. Around 60 to 65% is ideal on most panels. If you go too high, colors will end up bleeding over detail. Next is Windows itself. If you are using an HDR capable display, turn on HDR in Windows and run the built-in HDR calibration tool. This defines how your display maps luminance and color depth, meaning you control the brightness curve and shadow accuracy instead of leaving it to Windows default guesswork, which inevitably ends up looking horrible. I see this misconception everywhere. HDR does not affect your performance at all. It gives you a more accurate image, not a slower one. If you still don't want to use HDR, go to your color management tab in your settings. There's a setting that says automatically manage colors for some apps. Correcting this alone makes SDR look less flat and washed out in certain cases, and the setting may seem like it will have a massive effect on your display, but it's actually very, very slight. And lastly, go to your documents folder on your PC, open up the Battlefield 6 folder, which holds your game config file. In here, there is a depth of field setting that you are going to change from 1 to 0. You'll see the difference is instant. When it is enabled, it makes your reticle look blurry. Reticles are now razor sharp, and long-range targets pop rather than just smearing into the background. When you put all of this together, Battlefield 6 stops looking just like a game rendered on a screen. Crisp, balanced, and perfectly tuned for visibility. Leave a like, share, comment if you appreciate me putting a lot more work into this than most people actually do. Be sure to give me a follow. Peace.